You know, deep in the Cold War, a terrifying secret was lost to the crushing dark of the abyss. And the mission to get it back? Well, that would require an engineering marvel, something built on a mountain of lies, a machine that could push technology to its absolute breaking point, 3 miles beneath the waves. This is an incredible story.
Take a look at this. This is the Hughes Glomar Explorer, a true titan of cold steel, just sitting out there, alone, in this endless expanse of water. I mean, this ship was one of the most sophisticated vessels ever built, a floating monument to human ambition. But its real purpose? That was one of the most closely guarded secrets of the 20th century.
Because you see, this ship, it was built on a lie. Every single rivet, every steel plate, all of that advanced technology, it was all assembled under this brilliant deception, designed to hide what it was really doing from the entire world, and especially from the Soviet Union.
So what was that mission? Well, it was a hunt for a ghost, a lost weapon of war, a Cold War prize resting in the crushing blackness 17,000 feet down. A depth so profound, so completely hostile, that getting anything from down there was thought to be literally impossible. So how did this all get started? It began with a Soviet submarine that just vanished. It created a ghost in the deep that the CIA became absolutely obsessed with finding.
So back in February of '68, the Soviet ballistic missile submarine K-129 slips out of its base. But then, just silence. By March, it had missed several radio check-ins and was officially declared missing. Now, the Soviets searched frantically for it, but they found nothing. The thing is, the U.S. intelligence community, with its super sophisticated underwater microphones, they did find it.
And what they found was an intelligence goldmine. We're talking a nuclear-armed submarine, complete with its secret codebooks, its sonar tech, its nuclear warhead designs, just sitting there on the seabed, 1,500 miles northwest of Hawaii. A prize of unimaginable value, just waiting. The only problem? It was 3 miles down.
So, to solve an impossible problem, you need an impossible machine. Let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of the megastructure the CIA built to pull off this incredible heist, the Hughes Glomar Explorer.
First, let's just talk size. The ship was a staggering 619 feet long. To give you some perspective, that's like 2 football fields laid end to end. This wasn't just some big boat, it was a behemoth, built for one single secret purpose. And then you have its weight. This thing displaced 63,000 tons. Just try to imagine the engineering it took to control all that steel, all that machinery, to perform a task that needed surgical precision miles below the waves. It's mind-boggling.
And this is the number that changes everything. An operating depth of 17,000 feet. The pressure down there is immense. The darkness is absolute. No one had ever even tried a salvage operation at a fraction of this depth before.
Now this is where it gets really clever. The ship's greatest secret was hidden right in the middle of its hull. It was a massive bay called the moon pool. The bottom of the ship could literally open up, allowing a giant claw to go down, grab the submarine, and then pull the entire thing up inside the ship, completely hidden from spy satellites and any prying eyes.
And the tech to do this was straight out of science fiction. It had a dynamic positioning system that used sensors on the seabed to keep this 63,000-ton ship perfectly still in the middle of the ocean. It had a huge gimbaled platform, kind of like in a ship's compass, to keep the lifting gear stable no matter how much the ocean rolled. And at the end of a 3-mile pipe was the business end, a massive grappling claw, nicknamed Clementine, ready to snatch its prey.
Okay, but how on earth do you build a ship this massive and not have anyone figure out it's a top-secret CIA operation? Well, you create the perfect cover story, and you get one of the world's most famous and eccentric people to be the face of it.
So the deception was the key. The public was told this was a pioneering vessel built by the reclusive billionaire Howard Hughes to mine valuable manganese nodules from the ocean floor. I mean, it was a plausible story, a brilliant cover, really. The secret reality, of course, was Project Azorian, a CIA mission to pull off the heist of the century.
Howard Hughes's reputation for being super secretive was the CIA's greatest asset. When the Los Angeles Times reported on the launch in 1973, they pointed out how secret everything was. But everybody just kind of shrugged and said, that's just Howard Hughes being Howard Hughes. It was the perfect cover, hiding the mission right out in the open.
So, the ship is built, the cover story is holding up. It was time. On July 4th, 1974, the Glomar Explorer arrived over the target. For weeks, the crew got ready for the most audacious salvage in history. The moment of truth had finally arrived.
The whole process was just agonizingly slow. Clementine, that giant claw, was lowered down piece by piece on a 3-mile-long pipe string into that crushing blackness. After days of careful maneuvering, it successfully grabbed the 2,000-ton submarine. The heavy lift system kicked in, and the slow, painful journey to the surface started. It was actually working. The impossible was happening.
Then, about a third of the way up, a catastrophic failure.
It was a catastrophic mechanical failure. Deep down in the crushing dark, one of the massive steel talons on that claw just couldn't take the strain anymore. It snapped. The immense pressure and the dead weight of the sub were just too much. With a violent tear of metal, the main body of the submarine, the prize, the part with the missiles and the code rooms, ripped away.
After being lifted a mile from its grave, 2/3 of the prize plunged right back into the dark abyss. Lost. Forever. All the crestfallen crew could do was keep lifting, knowing they were only recovering a fraction of their target.
So, the mission was a partial failure, but the story wasn't over. A second recovery mission was being planned, but the world's best-kept secret was about to get blown wide open by a completely bizarre, almost random chain of events.
You're not going to believe this, but the secret unraveled because of a simple office burglary. In June of '74, thieves broke into Howard Hughes's offices and stole a bunch of documents, and one of them connected Hughes to the CIA. Well, the police investigation got people's attention, and by late 1974, rumors were flying. By February '75, the LA Times broke the story, and a month later, it was all over national news. The cover was blown.
And this right here is probably the mission's most lasting public legacy. When journalists started filing Freedom of Information Act requests, the CIA came up with a really novel answer. They would neither confirm nor deny the existence of any records. This became known as the Glomar response, and it's a term still used today in the world of intelligence to just bat away questions about secret operations.
In the end, Project Azorian was an absolute engineering marvel that pushed the boundaries of what was even possible. It was a partial intelligence success. They did recover some Soviet tech and the bodies of several crewmen, who were later given a formal burial at sea. But the biggest prize was lost. So the question that just hangs in the air is, what secrets did the abyss keep? What technology, what stories did it take back? What mysteries are still resting, completely undisturbed, in the crushing dark, 17,000 feet below?